Once he became Speaker, he has become a man that none of us recognize. Now we have Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrats coming out, embracing Mike Johnson with a warm hug and a big, wet, sloppy kiss. And so next week, I am going to be calling this motion to vacate. Absolutely calling it.
All right, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been threatening for some time. Next week is the moment she is going to act on that and get a motion going to vacate the speaker. In other words, to toss him out. What kind of support does she have for that? Let's ask Congressman Dan Crenshaw of Texas, a Republican, by the way. But Congressman, what do you make of this? She's still determined to do this. What do you think?
She needs her time in the spotlight. You know, it's been a little while, and maybe one last-ditch effort to get a little attention is what she's looking for. There's not a lot of support for this. I really don't know how many members would actually vote for it. I do know it won't pass. I think that's been made pretty clear that there's a very, very large and strong majority that will table the motion, meaning it's just it just reverses it so that we don't even vote on it. And it's based in what exactly? That Mike Johnson brought bills to the floor that were necessary for our national security, that the vast majority of members wanted to vote on. So allowing the democratic process to move forward, our process that we have in our Constitution to move forward is apparently the crime of the century, according to these people, which warrants a motion to vacate. Here's the problem. This happened with McCarthy too. And they say that they're siding with Democrats about this uniparty. The real uniparty, by the way, is very clearly between the far left and the far right. And if they had their way, based on the votes they take, this is what would happen. We would have no military. It would be defunded. We'd have no government. It would also be defunded. We'd have no intelligence agencies. We wouldn't be able to collect intelligence on our adversaries, foreign spies, terrorists, what have you. And they'd let Putin win in Ukraine and be on the border of former NATO countries. So just to lay out the reality of what their voting record would actually be. It's not a good one. And so they're so mad about that they want a motion to vacate the speaker. Now, what they do is they make it impossible for the speaker to actually have leverage over Democrats and get things that we want, like border security. Marjorie Taylor Greene has never tried to lay out a plan to get border security done along with the supplemental package. I've done that. I worked for months to do that. A lot of us did. She has never. Tom Massey has never done anything on that front. She's never written any legislation on asylum reform or anything to do with border security. A lot of us have. And so they make it impossible for us to have any leverage with our very slim majority. And then they turn around and punish the speaker when they can't actually make a deal that we want. And then they say, oh, it was all their fault, and now the real patriots are taking over. It's a game, and voters have to stop falling for it.
All right, so I'll put you down as a maybe on what she's considering. But let me get your take. Let's say she does overcome some of these hurdles, and it does come down to a vote, and it does come down to the same thing Kevin McCarthy was going through. Well, that's sort of like a roll-a-rama, right? I mean, you're going to go through all these names, all these people. For all I know, your name could come up in speaker considership here. It could be a real, Lollapalooza here.
Yeah, it wouldn't work. There's nobody who can get 218 Republican votes at this point. The conference is far too divided. The more likely scenario that you would see is that the speaker designee, whoever Johnson has secretly designated in his place, the same way McCarthy designated Patrick McHenry, that person would just be speaker. That's the most likely scenario, but again, I don't think we're going to get to that point.
Could roll in there as the speaker, right?
Well, you'd have to get some Republicans to actually vote for him.
Yeah.
Look, there needs to be, this is a longer conversation, there needs to be rule changes to the way we elect the speaker, to the motion to vacate rule. There's some glitches in the system that allow, I think, some very unserious people in the conference to wreak havoc. I wouldn't say take control, but definitely wreak havoc. They did not run on any platform of getting things done for their constituents, right? They ran on a platform of an appearance to fight. And they'll say, I've heard this behind closed doors. I've heard them say, it's better to lose and appear that we're fighting, because appearing to fight is what gets you those extra fundraising dollars. And what they've become good at is blaming the loss on some so-called establishment. By definition, by the way, there's no establishment when 4% of the conference can take out a speaker. But this is the game they play, and I ask voters every day, stop falling for it. There's an appearance of fighting here. It's an appearance. It's nothing more. They're not fighting for you. They're fighting for your attention, and that's a very different thing.
Let me switch gears a little bit. Maybe you do or don't want to talk about this, but the plight of your fellow Congressman, Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar, in this latest indictment he faces. That came out of the blue. What do you make of it? He's still running for re-election.
It did come out of the blue, and I know as much about it as you probably know more about it than I do at this point. It's unfortunate. He's been long, widely respected as a Democrat we can work with and actually talk to, as a colleague here in Texas. So, you know, I've yet to form an opinion on this. I want to see what the charges are exactly and what's true and what isn't. But it's that'd be a real shame if that were the case. And the second time in just the last year, too, we've seen such a major case of bribery.
Yeah, you were talking about Senator Menendez. Meanwhile, in the other House body, other legislative body. Could I also get your lay of the land on these protests here? There's been a move. Well, a couple of your colleagues who want to take away aid from some of these institutions. Some going so far as to say if any of these protesters, especially the ones who are arrested, are getting student loan forgiveness, they shouldn't. Where are you on that?
I like both of those solutions, you know. But when we say defund universities, people don't always know what they're talking about, and it's more complicated than that, right? Because universities get so-called funding through grant programs, et cetera. Some are state universities, and so and in theory it's easier to defund them, but that's a state decision. Of course, there's federal money here and there. I've had a bill that I think passes the First Amendment muster test, but also directly targets the DEI problems that we see. Basically, does not allow universities to require DEI statements, to require statements that imply some sort of a racist intent, which is what DEI statements often do. What you're seeing on campuses today is just a very problematic, long-standing trend that has occurred over the last 15 years or so of this coddling of student activism. Look, students are basically teenagers. They've never had many life experiences, but they're looking to be warriors. They're looking to have a cause for something, and they'll find it, even if it's a Che Guevara T-shirt on that they now think is their social justice icon. And now it's Hamas and Hezbollah as their social justice icon. They're going to find it, whatever it is, because they're students and they don't know that much. It's up to adults and administrators to actually step in and say, you don't know that much. That's why you came to the university to actually learn. So put away all the stupid signs and put away your free tents and stop this entitled sense of what has become an entitlement to violence, and go back into the classroom and actually learn something and read a book. But instead, they're coddling it. They've been making the situation worse for years, and this is the kind of culmination that you see as a result.
Well, you do speak your mind, Congressman. I'll give you that. Always good seeing you.
Good to see you, Judy.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.